The night was cold. The streets were almost empty, only the sound of the wind moving through broken signs and half-broken stalls. In that forgotten corner of the city, a young boy named Eli walked slowly holding a small cloth bag. Inside the bag were a few scraps of bread, the kind no one wanted, the kind he had picked up after the market closed. Eli was thin, his clothes old and patched. His shoes had holes and every step made his feet colder. He was only 14, but life had made him grow faster than his age. His father was gone and his mother was sick at home. Every day, Eli searched the markets, the trash bins, and sometimes even the bakery's dirty corners to find food. Most nights he returned with almost nothing, but tonight something felt different. As Eli walked past the dark alley near the market square, he noticed a shadow moving against the wall. At first, he thought it was just a dog searching for scraps, but then he heard a sound. A low cough, a heavy breath. Someone was there. Eli froze. His first thought was to run. Strangers in dark alleys often meant trouble. But then he heard another sound, softer this time. A weak voice. Food? Eli's heart jumped. He stepped closer, his eyes adjusting to the dark. There, sitting against the cold stone wall, was not a man. Not exactly. The figure looked tall even while sitting, his shoulders wrapped in torn cloth. His skin was pale but not human pale. It had a faint shimmer, as if dust from the stars had settled on it. His eyes were half closed, glowing faintly like dying embers. It was an alien. Eli had seen aliens before, but always from a distance. They were rich traders, guards in shining armor, or travelers riding expensive machines. But this one looked different. This alien looked broken, homeless, weak. The people of the city passed by without stopping. Some glanced, others whispered insults, but no one gave him food or water. To them he was nothing more than a beggar, another mouth to ignore. Eli's hands tightened around his small bag. Inside, he had only 3 pieces of stale bread. Not enough for him, not enough for his mother waiting at home. Sharing would mean going hungry tonight. The alien lifted his head slowly, his glowing eyes meeting Eli's. For a moment, Eli felt as if those eyes were looking not just at him, but deep inside his heart. Please, the alien whispered. His voice was rough, heavy with pain. Eli looked around. The street was empty. No one was watching. His stomach twisted with hunger, but he took 1 piece of bread from the bag. His hands shook as he stepped closer. He placed the bread in the alien's trembling hands. This is all I can give, Eli said softly. Don't tell anyone. This is all I have. The alien stared at the bread, then at the boy. Slowly, he brought the bread to his mouth and ate. His hands shook, his eyes glowed brighter with every bite. When he finished, he leaned back against the wall, breathing more evenly. You are kind, the alien said at last. His voice was low but steady now. Kindness is rare, even among your people. Eli did not know what to say. He looked at the alien, then back at his bag. He still had 2 more pieces. He thought of his mother waiting in the cold room at home. But when he saw the alien's face, so tired, so weak, his heart pushed him forward. He placed the 2nd piece of bread on the alien's lap. Eat, Eli said, trying to sound firm. You need it more than me. The alien looked at him for a long moment. Then, with slow hands, he took the bread and ate again. His glow brightened even more, like a fading candle catching flame again. When he finished, he looked at Eli with eyes that seemed almost alive now. You will not regret this, boy, the alien whispered. Eli frowned. The words were strange, almost like a promise. But before he could ask what they meant, the alien closed his eyes and leaned back as if resting for the first time in days. The boy stood there, uncertain. A part of him wanted to run home. Another part wanted to stay. But he finally turned and walked away, clutching the last piece of bread tightly. His heart was heavy with fear, but also with something new, something he could not name. As Eli disappeared into the night, the alien opened his glowing eyes again. A faint smile touched his lips. He watched the boy's small figure fade into the darkness. Kindness, he whispered again, his voice almost carried away by the wind. The universe has not forgotten it after all. And in that moment, though Eli did not know it, his life had changed forever. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the broken rooftops of the city. The streets filled with the usual noise, merchants shouting prices, carts rattling, and children running barefoot through the dust. Eli walked among them, carrying his empty bag. His stomach ached, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about the alien in the alley. Most people in the city avoided aliens. They said aliens brought trouble or that helping them was useless. But Eli could not forget those glowing eyes, full of sadness yet filled with something strange, something powerful. Maybe he's gone, Eli muttered to himself as he walked toward the alley. Maybe he left. But when he reached the place, the alien was still there, sitting in the same spot against the wall. His torn cloth wrapped around his shoulders, his face hidden in shadow. Yet when Eli approached, the alien lifted his head slowly. His eyes glowed faintly like embers under ash. "You came back," the alien said. His voice was weak but clearer than before. Eli felt awkward. I wanted to see if you're alive." The alien gave a small smile. "Alive, yes, thanks to you." Eli sat on the ground cross-legged, the dust sticking to his knees. He pulled out a small fruit core he had saved from yesterday. Hardly anything left to eat, but still better than nothing. He handed it to the alien. The alien took it gently, as if it were a gift of gold. He ate slowly, carefully, as though every bite mattered. "Why do you help me, boy?" he asked. "You have nothing, yet you share." Eli shrugged. "Because no one else will. People walk past you like you're invisible. That's not right." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then the alien spoke again. "My name is Karen," he said. "I come from far beyond your skies." Eli's eyes widened. "Karen? That doesn't sound like any name I've heard." Karen chuckled softly, though it quickly turned into a cough. "It is an old name, from a place your maps do not show." The boy leaned forward. "What place? Tell me." And so Karen began to speak. He told Eli stories of vast cities built on moons where towers touched the stars. He spoke of ships that glided through space like fish through water, faster than light itself. He described markets filled with colors and sounds that no human had ever seen or heard. Eli listened, his mouth slightly open. He had never traveled beyond his own poor city, never even seen the rich parts of the capital. To hear about entire worlds lit by twin suns, about oceans of silver, about creatures with wings of crystal, it was like stepping into a dream. "Are these stories real?" Eli asked, half in doubt, half in wonder. Karen looked at him, his glowing eyes steady. "Every word is true. I have walked those streets. I have seen those skies." Eli's heart raced. He wanted to believe. Something in Karen's voice, calm and deep, felt different from ordinary lies. It felt like memory. For the next hour, Karen told more tales. He spoke of great councils where leaders of different species met, of wars fought and peace signed, of treasures hidden on planets where no human had ever set foot. His voice carried both wisdom and sadness, as if he missed those places more than anything, and Eli, poor and hungry, forgot his stomach pains as he sat in the dust, his eyes shining with wonder. When the sun began to set, Eli stood. "I have to go. My mother will worry." Karen nodded slowly. "Go, boy. You have given me more than food. You gave me a reason to speak again." Eli hesitated. "I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe you can tell me more?" A faint smile crossed Karen's tired face. "Yes, tomorrow." The next few days passed the same way. Each morning, Eli searched for scraps of food. Each evening, he visited Karen in the alley. He always brought something. Half a loaf, a piece of fruit, sometimes only a crust of bread. And in return, Karen always told him stories. Eli began to look forward to it more than anything else in his life. At night, when his mother coughed in her sleep, Eli whispered those stories to himself, imagining worlds brighter than the one he lived in. But not everyone was blind to their growing bond. On the 5th day, when Eli sat listening to Karen describe a city under a glass dome on a frozen planet, a group of boys passed by the alley. They stopped watching. Their leader, a bigger boy with cruel eyes, laughed loudly. "Look at Eli," he shouted. "Feeding garbage to garbage." The others laughed with him. They called Karen names, spitting on the ground. Eli's cheeks burned, but he stayed quiet, gripping his bag tightly. Karen did not move. He simply lowered his glowing eyes, silent. The bullies threw a stone, hitting the wall near Karen's shoulder. "Stay away from that alien trash, Eli," the leader sneered. "Or you'll end up just like him." They walked away laughing, leaving Eli shaking with anger. "I hate them," Eli muttered. Karen looked at him calmly. "Do not waste hate, boy. Hate is heavy. It makes the strong weak." Eli clenched his fists. But they have no right to treat you like this. Karen's voice softened. One day, Eli, you will see. Kindness is more powerful than strength. Eli looked into Karen's glowing eyes. For the first time, he believed it. The days grew colder. Winter winds swept through the broken city, making every night harsher than the last. Eli still visited Karen every evening, carrying what little food he could find. Each time, Karen's glowing eyes softened, and his voice carried Eli to faraway worlds. But the city was not blind. People noticed. Whispers spread. The poor boy feeds the alien beggar, they said. Some laughed, some frowned. Many thought Eli was foolish. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the streets turned red with dust, Eli walked toward the alley with a half loaf of bread. His hands were cold, but his heart was warm. He was eager to hear another story from Karen. But this time, someone was waiting. 3 boys stepped out from behind the stalls, blocking Eli's path. They were older, stronger, faces full of arrogance. Their leader, Jace, smirked. He was known for trouble, always picking fights. Well, well, Jace said loudly. If it isn't little Eli, the alien servant. The other boys laughed. Eli tightened his grip on the bread. Move, I don't want trouble. Jace stepped closer, his eyes shining with cruelty. Trouble? You already made trouble, feeding that thing. Everyone knows aliens bring disease. Maybe you caught it too. The boys circled Eli. One of them snatched at his bag, trying to grab the bread. Eli pulled it back, glaring. Leave me alone, he said firmly, but Jace only laughed harder. Or what? You'll cry for your alien friend to save you? They shoved him, and Eli stumbled, nearly falling. The bread almost slipped from his hands, but he held it tight. His stomach hurt from hunger, but he would not let them take Karen's food. When Eli finally reached the alley, he was bruised and angry. Karen was sitting in his usual spot, wrapped in cloth, his glowing eyes watching silently. They tried to take it from me, Eli said, holding out the bread. His voice shook with anger. They called you trash. Karen accepted the bread quietly, his long fingers trembling as he broke it in half. He handed the larger piece back to Eli. Eat, Karen said. Eli shook his head. It's for you. Karen's glowing eyes softened. Strength comes from sharing, not from keeping. Reluctantly, Eli took the piece and ate. They sat in silence for a moment, the sound of the wind filling the alley. Then Karen spoke, his voice calm but heavy. There will always be those who mock kindness. They fear what they do not understand. But remember, Eli, true strength is not in fists, but in courage. Eli frowned, but I didn't fight back. I wanted to. I wanted to hit them. Karen leaned closer, his eyes glowing brighter. And that is why you are strong. You resisted. You stood your ground without hate. That is a power greater than they will ever know. Eli stayed quiet, thinking about those words. Part of him still wanted to punch Jace and his gang, but another part felt proud. He had not given up the bread. He had not abandoned Karen. That night, as Eli prepared to leave, Karen placed a hand on his shoulder. His touch was surprisingly warm, almost electric. You protect me, though you have nothing, Karen said. One day, Eli, you will protect more than me. You will protect many. Eli looked into Karen's glowing eyes, confused. What do you mean? But Karen only smiled faintly. The universe tests those it trusts. The next day, the bullies returned. This time, they followed Eli into the alley. Jace sneered at Karen, his eyes full of disgust. So this is your alien? Jace spat on the ground. Pathetic. You waste food on him? Karen did not move. He sat calmly, watching. Eli stepped in front of him. Leave him alone, Jace laughed. Or what? The other boys shoved Eli hard, but he did not fall this time. He stood tall, though his legs shook. He's worth more than you'll ever know, Eli shouted. His voice echoed off the alley walls. For a moment, the bullies froze. Something in Eli's eyes, something fierce, made them hesitate. Then, muttering insults, they backed away. When they were gone, Eli let out a shaky breath. His heart pounded in his chest. Karen looked at him, pride in his glowing eyes. You see, he said softly. Strength is not in how hard you strike, but in how firm you stand. Eli nodded slowly. For the first time, he understood. That night, when Eli returned home, his mother coughed in her sleep. He placed his small blanket over her and whispered Karen's words to himself. Strength is not in fists, but in courage. He did not know it yet, but this was only the beginning of his greatest test. Winter grew colder. The air was sharp. cutting through Eli's thin clothes like knives. His mother's cough worsened. Some nights she could barely breathe, whispering Eli's name in the dark. He sat by her side, holding her hand, wishing he had medicine, wishing he had more food, but Eli had nothing. Only hope, only scraps. One evening, he searched the market stalls until only bones and rotten fruit were left behind. His stomach growled. His head felt dizzy, but he finally found a half-eaten potato lying near the trash. He wrapped it in cloth and held it close, thinking of his mother. She needed it more than anyone. But then he thought of Karen. The image of the alien elder flashed in his mind. Weak, glowing eyes dimming each night, his body shaking in the cold. Eli stopped walking. His heart felt torn in two. Should he take the potato home for his mother, or give it to Karen? His legs moved without thinking. He found himself walking toward the alley. Karen was there, sitting against the stone wall, weaker than before. His skin seemed pale, almost fading into the shadows. When he saw Eli, his lips trembled in a faint smile. "You came," Karen whispered. Eli knelt beside him. His throat tightened. He held out the potato with shaking hands. "This is all I found today," he said softly. "But it's yours." Karen looked at the potato, then at Eli. His glowing eyes flickered like dying fire. "And your mother?" he asked slowly. Eli lowered his head. "She's sick. She needs food too." "But," his voice broke, "I can't watch you die here. Take it." For a long moment, Karen said nothing. He took the potato, his long fingers brushing Eli's hand. His touch was strangely warm, almost like a spark of energy flowing into Eli's skin. "You give me your last food," Karen whispered. "Why?" Eli's eyes burned with tears. "Because no one else will. Because you're not trash, no matter what they say. Because you're my friend." Silence filled the alley. The wind howled, carrying the smell of dust and smoke. Then Karen spoke again, his voice stronger than before. "Friend," he repeated. "It has been a long time since I heard that word." He closed his eyes, biting into the potato slowly. As he ate, his body seemed to change. His breathing grew steadier. The dim glow in his eyes brightened, flickering like small flames. Eli watched in awe. For a moment he thought he imagined it, but no. The alien truly seemed stronger. When Karen finished, he placed his hand over Eli's. His grip was firm now, filled with hidden power. "Eli," Karen said, his voice deep, almost echoing. "You do not see yet, but your kindness is a weapon greater than steel. You gave me life when you had nothing. This choice..." He paused as if searching for words. "This choice will echo far beyond tonight." Eli blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" Karen smiled faintly. "One day you will understand." That night Eli returned home late. His mother lay weak in bed, coughing. He gave her water, whispering apologies in his heart. She smiled faintly at him, touching his cheek. "You always try, Eli," she whispered. "That's enough." But guilt weighed heavy in his chest. He had chosen Karen over his own mother. The next evening, Eli went back to the alley. But Karen was not there. The stone wall was empty. Panic filled Eli's chest. He searched up and down the street. "Karen!" he called. "Where are you?" No answer. Only the cold wind. Fear twisted inside him. Had he been too late? Had Karen died after all? Hours passed and Eli returned home heartbroken. He lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, wondering if he had lost his only friend. But just before dawn, something woke him. A strange light flickered outside the window. He rushed to look. Far in the distance, beyond the rooftops, a faint glow lit up the sky, like fireflies moving together, like stars that had come down to earth. Eli's breath caught. Deep inside, he felt it. This was connected to Karen. He did not know how. He did not know why, but he knew this. His life was about to change forever. The next day felt endless. Eli searched the market streets again, but his mind was not on food. His stomach growled, yet he barely noticed. His thoughts circled one question. Where was Karen? The alley was empty. The stone wall where Karen had always sat was cold and bare. For the first time in many days, Eli felt truly alone. He spent the afternoon wandering, asking quietly if anyone had seen the alien elder. Most people shrugged, some laughed. Good riddance, one man muttered. Aliens don't belong here. By evening, Eli's hope began to fade. He returned home, but even there he could not rest. His mother slept weakly, coughing in the dim light while Eli stared out the window. His heart felt heavy. Then in the distance, beyond the ruined rooftops, a strange glow flickered in the sky. At first Eli thought it was lightning, but it did not fade. The glow grew stronger, brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. Eli's breath caught. Something inside told him, Karen. Without thinking, he slipped outside and ran through the empty streets. The glow pulled him like a magnet, leading him past the market, past the alleys, toward the forest beyond the city. His legs ached, but he did not stop. At last he reached a clearing. His eyes widened. Hovering above the ground was a massive shape, cloaked in shimmering light. It looked like a mountain of metal and glass, silent yet alive, floating just above the earth. It was not a fire, not lightning. It was a ship, unlike anything Eli had ever seen. He froze, his heart pounding. The glow lit the trees, painting the night in silver. And then, from the base of the ship, a ramp of light extended downward. Eli's breath caught again as a figure stepped out. It was Karen, but he did not look like the broken beggar Eli had known. Gone were the rags and the trembling hands. Instead, Karen stood tall, his back straight, his shoulders broad. His skin shone faintly, his eyes glowing bright gold, not dim. He wore robes of deep blue and silver, woven with threads that seemed alive. Around his neck glimmered a crest, a symbol of power. Eli stumbled back, whispering, Karen? Karen's eyes softened as he stepped forward. His voice was stronger now, deep and commanding. You found me. Eli shook his head, unable to believe. You're not just a homeless alien. Karen smiled faintly. No, Eli, I am not. The ramp behind him shimmered, and Eli saw other figures. Alien guards in armor, bowing their heads as Karen passed. They treated him with respect, even fear. Eli's mind spun. The stories Karen had told. The cities under glass domes, the ships that sailed through stars. They weren't just stories. They were his memories. His life. Who are you? Eli whispered. Karen stopped in front of him. His glowing eyes met the boy's, calm yet full of weight. I am Karen of the High Council, he said. A leader of my people. A keeper of knowledge. And yes, he paused as if measuring the moment. A millionaire among the stars. Eli's mouth opened, but no words came. His heart raced. His knees felt weak. He wanted to believe, yet it all felt like a dream. You lived in the street, Eli said at last. You begged for food, why? Karen's smile faded. Because wealth means nothing if the heart forgets kindness. I came here to see if your people still remembered. I wanted to know if when stripped of riches I would still find mercy. He stepped closer, placing a hand on Eli's shoulder. His touch carried warmth, strength, and something more. A strange energy that seemed to flow into Eli. And I found it, Karen said softly. In you? Eli's eyes stung with tears. All the nights of hunger, all the cruel laughter from the bullies, it all led to this moment. His kindness had not been wasted. You gave me bread when I had nothing, Karen continued. When all others turned away, you stayed. You chose compassion over survival. That choice has meaning, Eli. More meaning than you can yet understand. Behind him, the ship hummed with light. The guards waited silently. Eli swallowed hard. So, what happens now? Karen's glowing eyes softened. Now I show you what kindness can bring. Eli looked up at the ship, its silver glow reflecting in his wide eyes. The cold night air bit into his skin, but inside a strange warmth bloomed. His life, which had been filled with hunger and struggle, had suddenly opened into something vast, something beyond imagination. The poor boy who gave his last bread to a beggar was standing at the doorway of the stars, and he did not know it yet. But his journey was only beginning. Eli stood frozen in the clearing, staring at the great ship that floated above the ground. Its silver glow bathed the trees, making the night look like day. Karen stood tall before him, no longer weak, no longer a beggar. His robes shimmered, his eyes burned bright with golden fire. Eli's heart beat so hard he could hear it in his ears. Just yesterday, Karen was coughing in a cold alley, begging for scraps. Now he was a leader surrounded by guards, a figure of power. I don't understand, Eli whispered. Why me? I'm just a poor boy. I don't have anything. Karen placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. His grip was strong, steady. You gave me everything, Eli, not food, not scraps. You gave me kindness when I had none. You gave me friendship when the world turned away. Eli's eyes stung. But I only gave you bread. Karen smiled faintly. A single piece of bread can weigh more than gold when it comes from an empty hand. Behind Karen, the guards shifted, carrying strange containers that glowed faintly. With a wave of his hand, Karen signaled them. They stepped forward and laid the containers at Eli's feet. When they opened, Eli gasped. Inside was treasure. Not gold, not jewels, but shining crystal-like coins that pulsed with light. They seemed alive, humming softly, filling the clearing with a warm glow. "This," Karen said, "is enough to feed you and your family for the rest of your life, enough to heal your mother, enough to give you a home without hunger." Eli fell to his knees, unable to speak. His hand shook as he touched one of the glowing coins. It felt warm, like holding a heartbeat. "I can't take this," he whispered. "It's too much." Karen knelt down, lowering himself so his eyes met the boy's. "You must take it. Because you earned it, Eli. Not with strength, not with wealth, but with kindness. The universe remembers kindness. And so do I." Eli's chest tightened. He thought of his sick mother, of the empty house, of the long nights he had gone hungry. For the first time, hope did not feel like a dream. It felt real. But Karen was not finished. He stood and raised his hand. The ship above responded, glowing brighter. From the ramp of light, 2 more figures descended, carrying something strange. A small cube made of silver and glass. "What is that?" Eli asked softly. Karen took the cube and placed it gently in Eli's hands. The moment Eli touched it, he felt warmth spread through his body. "This is knowledge," Karen said. "All the stories I told you, all the worlds I described, they are here. Maps, histories, languages. It is a library of the stars." Eli's eyes widened. "But why give this to me?" Karen's voice grew serious. "Because you will need it. Kindness without wisdom can be crushed. But kindness with knowledge," his glowing eyes shone brighter, "can change worlds." Eli clutched the cube to his chest, his heart racing. The treasure at his feet was already too much, but this was something greater than treasure. Karen stepped closer. "Eli, I am leaving soon. I cannot stay on your world, but I will not leave you empty. With this you will grow, you will learn, and one day when the time comes you will lead others just as you have led me, with kindness first." Tears rolled down Eli's cheeks. "But I don't know how to lead anyone. I'm just a boy." Karen's smile was gentle. "So was I once. Greatness begins with a small act. Do you remember the bread you gave me?" Eli nodded slowly. "That was the beginning of your greatness," Karen said. The forest grew silent. The ship hummed above. The glowing coins sparkled at Eli's feet and the cube pulsed softly in his hands. Eli felt something deep inside shift. He was no longer just a poor boy searching for scraps. He was holding the future. As the night deepened, Karen stepped back toward the ramp of light. The guards followed. Before leaving, Karen turned one last time. "Eli," he said, his voice echoing through the trees, "remember this. Wealth fades, power fades, but kindness builds legacies." Then he raised his hand in farewell. "Until we meet again." The ramp of light lifted him into the ship. The giant vessel rose higher, its glow spreading across the forest, until it disappeared into the stars. Eli stood alone in the clearing, the cube in his arms, treasure at his feet, and hope burning in his chest. For the first time in his life, he believed the world could be more than hunger and cold. For the first time, he felt he had a future. The night after Karen's ship vanished, Eli sat alone in the clearing. The glowing coins lay stacked beside him, and the silver cube pulsed softly in his hands. For hours he stared at the sky where the ship had disappeared, his heart full of both wonder and fear. He was only a poor boy yesterday, but now everything had changed. When dawn came, Eli carried the treasure home. His mother, weak and coughing, could not believe her eyes when he placed the glowing coins beside her bed. "Eli," she whispered, her voice trembling, "what have you done?" "I didn't steal it," Eli said quickly. "It was given to me, by a friend." Within days, the coins brought healers to their home. His mother's sickness slowly faded. Their small, broken house was repaired. Food filled their table again, warm bread and fresh fruit replacing scraps and hunger. But Eli did not keep the wealth only for himself. He remembered Karen's words, "Kindness builds legacies." So he began to share. The poor neighbors who once went hungry with him found food at their door. The old man who lived alone received medicine. The children in the street who played barefoot received shoes. At first, people whispered. Then they began to call him something new, the boy with the heart of gold. But Eli knew the truth. It wasn't his gold. It was Karen's test, and he was simply living it. The silver cube became Eli's secret treasure. At night, when the city slept, he touched it and listened. It spoke to him in glowing symbols and gentle voices. It showed him maps of galaxies, stories of distant worlds, knowledge of science and healing far beyond his time. Each night, Eli learned more, and slowly his mind grew as full as his heart. Years passed. Eli was no longer a thin, hungry boy. He became strong, wise, respected. The once poor child became a leader in his city, not because of money, but because people trusted him. They followed his example of kindness. They believed in him. Yet Eli never forgot the alley, the cold nights, the trembling hands of the alien who had once seemed so weak. One evening, many years later, Eli stood at the edge of the city. The sun set behind him, painting the sky red and gold. Children ran past, laughing, holding bread and fruit that he had made sure they never lacked. An old merchant stood beside him. Eli, the man said, how did it begin? How did a poor boy like you rise so high? Eli smiled softly, his eyes distant. It began with bread, he said simply. The merchant frowned. Bread? Yes, Eli whispered, his smile deepening. One piece of bread given to someone who had nothing. The merchant shook his head in confusion, but Eli said no more. He turned his gaze to the stars instead, his heart full of memory. That night, when the city grew quiet, Eli climbed to the rooftop of his home. The stars stretched above him, endless and bright. He held the silver cube in his hands, and for the first time in many years he spoke aloud. Karen, he whispered, if you can hear me, I kept your promise. I shared what you gave me. I tried to live with kindness. I hope it was enough. Far away beyond the reach of human eyes, a ship drifted through the black sea of space. Inside, an old alien elder watched a glowing screen. On it, Eli's city shone bright with new life. Karen's golden eyes softened and a smile touched his lips. Yes, Eli. He whispered into the silence of the stars. It was more than enough. Eli lived many more years. His name became known not just in his city but across lands far beyond. People told stories of the boy who gave bread to a stranger, who turned kindness into strength, who carried wisdom from the stars. And when Eli grew old, children sat by his side begging him to tell the tale again. He always ended it the same way. Remember this. Wealth fades, power fades, but kindness. He would pause, smiling at their wide eyes. Kindness lasts forever. The children would nod, their small hearts holding the seed of the lesson. And so the legacy continued, passed from one generation to the next. High above, hidden in the endless night, Karen sometimes watched. Not as a beggar, not even as a leader, but as a friend proud of the boy who had once shared bread with him in the cold. And in the quiet of the stars, the universe itself remembered, because kindness once given never dies.